deporting on board Boeing 737-700 taxi at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport here in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm Charles Obuni, and this is Globe Watch Special. I am on my way to meet Nigerian government authorities to talk about 1 year of President Muhammadu Buhari administration, an administration that came to power with a promise of making lives better for Nigerians. So, 1 year after the coming in of the new president, has life been all that easy for Nigerian people? In a moment, my guest from the capital, Abuja, will be the Nigerian Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed. Nigerian Minister for Information, Lai Mohammed, welcome to Globe Watch.
Thank you very much.
One of the campaign slogans of President Muhammadu Buhari was either corruption kills Nigeria or Nigeria kills corruption. Plus 1 year in office. Who has killed the other?
Well, I think none has killed the other. But one is very seriously and mortally wounded, and that's corruption. I say this because 1 year after, Mr. President has succeeded in living up to his campaign promise that he was going to fight corruption rigorously. And today, I can say with all sense of responsibility and all sense of humility, that Mr. President has really waged the war against corruption, and the perception about corruption in Nigeria today has changed completely. Before now, people saw corruption as a victimless crime, as a crime that had no victim. And it was not unusual in those days to see corrupt people being celebrated. It was not unusual in those days to even see the same victims of corruption feeling that, well, if it is their turn too, there's nothing wrong there. But today, being able to let Nigerians know that corruption is responsible for the underdevelopment in the country today. Our approach has been to take corruption from the abstract, perspective and locate it in terms of what corruption has cost us as Nigerians.
I just want to politely stop you there. What has corruption in reality cost Nigeria? The Vice President, Osibajo, provided a figure of roughly $15 billion or nairas in that sum that during the last administration. How much have you recovered? Because probably sending people to jail would not absolutely solve the problem.
I remember when in January this year, my ministry launched the sensitization campaign against corruption. We were able to tell Nigerians that between 2006 and 2013, just 55 Nigerians embezzled, allegedly, about 1.34 trillion naira. But to make them understand what that meant, we now use World Bank rates and costs to let Nigerians know how much they would have been able to get in terms of infrastructure. So we explained to Nigerians that if only 1/3 of that money, it's about 400 billion naira, were to be returned into the coffers of Nigeria, or to build them 600 kilometers of dual carriageway. In addition, it will build them 20,000 housing units. In addition, it will provide one ultra-modern hospital in each state of the Federation. In addition, it will train 4,000 children from primary school level to university level, and still have enough money to build 183 state-of-the-art schools in Nigeria. Now, that is when it began to sink that yes, corruption is actually responsible for the underdevelopment. We also made them understand that even the war against insurgency, even the Boko Haram insurgency, wouldn't have lasted that long if only there was no corruption. Because as we can see from revelations, they are coming out now, money even meant to fight insurgency was diverted into private pockets. And that is why we lost needlessly thousands of lives, millions displaced both here and outside Nigeria.
We'll talk that in a moment. There are some analysts who have concluded that Buhari's war against corruption is partial because they accuse the APC, which is governing the country today, to be a conclave of cardinals that met to elect one of theirs as Pope in the name of Buhari as president. That how can you in Nigeria today target a few people and celebrate people like the former governor of Rivers State, Rotimi, that you don't punish them and that you don't investigate them, and that the APC is simply pursuing those it considers its political opponents? We'll talk Sambo Dasuki in a moment. Is that correct?
You see, once you are fighting corruption, you must be prepared for the assault also from corruption. Corruption will also fight you back. You see, in the first instance, the PDP had been in power they were in power for 16 years. And for those 16 years, they had access to patronage, they had access to offices, they had access to public funds. So naturally, if any new government will start any investigation, it will only target and affect largely those who had been in power before.
But you have placed Goodluck Jonathan under investigation and he has accepted, but the administration has not done that to Obasanjo.
No, you see, we are a very focused government. And we're not in this business for the fun of it.
Okay.
We are just even probing 4 years. And we have realized the enormity of the rottenness. Now start with Obasanjo. They will say, why don't you start with Balewa? Why don't you start with Babangida? No. And you see, if you look at what we've been doing, we have not even gone to states, we've not even gone to any sector. We started with just one single item because we were concerned and worried that a ragtag army, like the Boko Haram insurgency, could confront our army, hold them, fight them to a standstill for years. An army that had done well elsewhere, in Sierra Leone, in Liberia, in Lebanon. The government was concerned to see what really happened. And that is why the first thing the government did was to investigate how the war was prosecuted. It was in the process of finding out how the war was prosecuted that we stumbled on this, on these revelations that actually a particular, just one contract of $2.1 billion meant to procure arms was actually diverted for electoral purposes by the PDP. Now you see, people keep accusing us that we were probing the campaign funds of the PDP. Why not probing our campaign funds? No, they've gotten it wrong. We never set out to probe the campaign funds of any political party. As a matter of fact, we don't have that right. Only INEC can probe the, campaign funds of any political party.
The Independent Electoral Commission.
Absolutely. So, but we were more concerned about the Boko Haram insurgents. I wanted to know exactly what happened. That's why we found out that actually the $2.1 billion that was meant for one single arms, a contract was actually diverted elsewhere.
You are just talking about the arms deal, and the personage or the personality in focus here is former Nigerian National Security Advisor Sambo Dasuki. Many have concluded, and those who manage and know Nigerian history so well, that in 1985, when Buhari was being taken out of office, this is the guy who said, "Mr. President, General, put your backs out of the office and leave." And today that Buhari has come to power, he says, "This is payback time. You took me out of office in 1985. Today, I will deal with you squarely." Is that again correct?
Absolutely fallacious. You see, some myths have truths, and downright falsehoods have a way of assuming the force of reality. It is not correct. It was not one of the soldiers that was there. It's not correct. And you see, people don't even know the relationship between Sambo Dasuki and Mr. President. They don't even know. And this is not the forum for that, but I can tell you categorically that Sambo Dasuki was not at the scene where where Buhari was asked to vacate office. So it could not have been any vendetta, payback time.
Let's talk about the economy. There is so much pressure on the Nigerian currency and economic outlook simply because of the downward moving prices of Nigeria's main income earner, oil. What has the administration done in particular to fulfill, at least for the first year in office, of its economic agenda for Nigerians?
Well, again, I want us to look at this matter in a broader perspective. What we have today is generally a global recession, which has affected the price of all commodities: coal, coffee, cocoa, tin. And like the President said yesterday, what Nigeria is suffering today is the inability of the previous government, of the country, to make provisions for the rainy day. And now the rains have come, we're unprotected, we are soaked, and we are suffering. You see, at a time when Nigeria oil sold for above $100 a barrel, and this happened for a period of almost 10 years, between 2002 2014, Nigeria failed to invest in infrastructure. Nigeria failed to diversify its economy. Nigeria failed to make savings. That is why we inherited a very comatose economy, which, of course, it didn't help that the price of crude fell from an all high of $100 to less than 30, sometimes in February this year.
When I talk to ordinary Nigerians, I've spent the last 4 days here talking to ordinary people. They tell me that this is an administration which has taken the nation from fry pan to fire. And they give very local examples that when you guys came to office, a bag of rice was 11,000 naira, and that today it is between 17 and 22,000 naira. And that when you guys came to office, a liter of petrol or fuel was 86 naira, and today it is 145 naira. And that you guys have made things very hard for them. The president has a very terrible 1 year in office economic record, right?
Well, I do see it that way, and I think Nigerians should be grateful that we came in. Otherwise, there will be nothing left of the economy of Nigeria today. But for the fact that we came in and we had the discipline and the political will to address frontally.
When should they expect lower prices of basic commodities? for the ordinary person.
The question should ask that, tell me anywhere in the world where the cost of basic commodities has not gone up. Tell me anywhere in the world where the discovery of technology of fracking, shale oil, has not turned the entire economy upside down.
But you know that fracking is basically an American affair for the moment. Not even European economies are ready to accept fracking.
But do you know how that has affected the economy worldwide? I'll tell you this. What was the import demand of the American for oil before fracking? What is it today? How much does it cost to set up, fracking? And how does it set up the ordinary, the traditional, way of, producing oil? You need $3 billion to start to set up a platform to exploit oil traditionally. You need less than $100. Sorry, less than $100 million to start exploring using the fracking technology. And what that has meant is that Africa, Asia, and every other person that has relied on the traditional method of getting oil has lost out. Import demand has gone down completely, while the production of America has gone up. 2, the effect of climate change. We have not even factored this in. China today, 30% of the vehicles in China today will be off petroleum by 2018, which means even the demand for your oil elsewhere will go down. Now you see, these are global issues that are affecting the local economy. And like I said, if only the previous governments had invested in agriculture, in solid minerals, in manufacturing, if only we had not inherited less than 5,000 megawatts of electricity, then we would have been able to absorb the shock of this new revelation.
Most of us who live outside Nigeria, we see the country through the window of Boko Haram and militancy in the Niger Delta. Each time a president comes from the north, it is somehow stabilized, like it is the case today with BUHARI. And each time a president comes from either south or southeast of Nigeria, it is somehow stabilized. What is the best political mechanism that when a Nigerian president is in office, we will have stability in the north and south at the same time?
Well, people, unfortunately, very hastily draw faulty conclusions. Take the First Republic, which was a parliamentary system of government. Take the Second Republic, presidential system of government. Take the Third Republic, and look at what were the issues. First Republic, even then, we had ethnic agitations. I remember as a very young man, or a very young boy, that we had problems in the Middle Belt with the TVs just immediately after independence. We had problems in what is now called the South, Azigboro, and Co. Now, you see, anywhere in the world, especially when you have the kind of country where we have, which is a country made up of various nationalities, you are going to have agitations. It's natural. Canada, up to today, you know very well that the separatists.
The guys from Quebec.
Quebec are still up to today.
Well, you can give examples in Scotland, but you can give that in the United Kingdom with Northern Ireland, where there are issues of agitation.
Absolutely.
What I want to know is that, especially with Boko Haram, your president said that technically it will be it's been defeated. How much time should the international community give Nigeria to say goodbye to Boko Haram, for example?
Charles, it means that you have little understanding of the phenomenon called insurgency. Look, there are three ways insurgency could terminate or could be determined. It's either the insurgents run over the country and establish their own system of government, like happened in Iran. People have forgotten that up to 1979, Iran was not an Islamic republic. Insurgents based in Paris, in France, overran the government of the Shah of Iran.
Oh, you are talking about the 1979 revolution?
Absolutely. That was an insurgency. Now, another way an insurgency could end is for both parties to be weary of war and decide to sign an armistice, like it's even happening today in Colombia. It's rare, like what Nigeria has achieved, for the government to completely defeat the insurgency. And I'm saying this because I've been to the northeast. I've visited liberated areas. I've seen the extent of the damage. I've seen the scale of the destruction in most of these areas. And I can tell you today that Boko Haram has been not technically, it has been defeated. And I'll tell you why. In May 25th, 29th, when we came in power, 14 out of 20 local governments in Borno State alone were under the sovereign authority of Boko Haram, which meant they had their government, they had their own system of justice, they appointed and installed emirs, and they were running their own government. Today, not one single local government is under the sovereign authority of Boko Haram. By May 2015, nobody could go by road and link Maiduguri or Damaturu. Today, all those roads have been opened. What we are now facing, what we are concerned about now, is the honest task of rehabilitation, reconstruction, and resettlement. Yes, people will come and tell you, oh, you say you have conquered Boko Haram. How come that there are still occasional, suicide bombings? And we'll say very simply that anybody who understands the phenomenon called insurgency will know that there's nowhere in the world that you can protect your vulnerable targets, like markets. No, listen.
Okay.
You saw what happened in Belgium in March. So what happened in Paris last year. So what happened in Orlando just last month. No country in the world can secure its soft targets. That is markets, stadia, place of worship or entertainment.
Well, Nigerian gun laws are not the same like American gun laws in Orlando. But
no. Look. It was what happened. Let me ask you, what happened in Paris? Was it gun law? What happened in Belgium? Was it gun law? What happened in Ivory Coast? Was it gun law? Terrorism.
Mr. Minister, there is a question I would like you to answer just in 30 seconds before we separate. President Buhari promised to end medical tourism in Nigeria, which consumes about $1 billion of Nigerian money each year. He had a medical problem and traveled to London for checkup, and that was largely criticized by Nigerians. Did the president chew more than what he could swallow?
No, you see, when you come to power on a campaign of change, people will expect magic from you. Will expect overnight that Nigeria will become an El Dorado. Sapien did not promise that in 1 year was going to change the entire ecosystem for healthcare. And I think anywhere in the world, a president is entitled to the best medical service available. You don't take chances with the president's health. Of course, every life is equal, we agree. But in Nigeria today, is anybody prevented from seeking medical care anywhere in the world? All we have said is that we need to improve on our medical system. And Buhari was not elected for 1 year, was elected for 4 years.
Okay.
And we are in the process of ensuring by the time we leave, we are going to leave behind a better medical healthcare system.
the Nigerian Minister of Information, Culture and Tourism, Lai Mohammed. Thank you very much indeed for being guest on Globe Watch.
Charles, it's a pleasure.
You're welcome.
Thank you.